Welcome back to Ty and That Guy. I'm Wes Chatham, and this is my really good friend, Ty Franck. Hey, Ty, how are you?
I'm all right.
Ty and I just had a fantastic romantic getaway in San Jose. Went to our pal, Adam Savage's Comic-Con, and we had such a good time. And, well, I had a good time. Did you have a good time, Ty?
Yeah, I'm a little tired, but it's always cool to see Adam.
Yeah.
Finally got to meet Carrie Byron from Mythbusters, who I've been wanting to meet. So Tori Belleci didn't show up because apparently he had a baby, and he thinks that gives him an excuse to not show up to things.
Yeah. Y'all were palling around a little bit. Had a little fun at the party. Me and the captain are doing Atlanta Comic-Con, Dragon Con tomorrow, which is like, damn, dude, two of these things back to back. That's a lot of work, especially when I finished my barn. That's a little inside. I've been working on a barn for a little while, and I just finished it. Yeah.
I have never been to a Dragon Con.
You're more than welcome to come out. You got a place to stay in my bed. Okay, so I'm excited about today because I'm really excited by this thing that Ty and I starting to kind of explore a little bit outside of the Expanse and things that we love, and getting to talk to everybody at Comic-Cons. I'm excited about the response that we've got for just talking about other movies and other things that we love and kind of doing a deep dive into that and going forward. And today we chose Eat, Pray, Love, one of Ty's favorites. And
yeah,
or is it just Pray?
It's just Pray.
Oh, okay, just Pray. Wait, Clint put Eat, Pray, Love on the board. He's just trying to get us to do.
You know
Eat,
what
Pray,
though?
Love.
I would love to see a Predator movie where Julia Roberts fights the Predator.
That's our next mailed, right? A romantic story.
Yeah.
Like a romantic, like a story about somebody finding themselves with the Predator in it.
Yeah.
And then, you would have this, you would have her same journey, but you just get shredded by Predator at the end. and then the credits start rolling. So today we're talking about Prey. For me and for my money, I saw the first Predator. We did a show about it. There's no secret of how much I love that movie and how great I think that is. But I did think it was a product of being at the right time, it was a new monster that we've never seen before, and seeing a vulnerability in this 80s machismo that we haven't seen before. And then I think I did see 2, but I barely remember it. And then I didn't watch any of the other ones just because, I got my heart broken so bad with the whole Alien franchise. So,
yeah.
I just didn't, there was nothing that really caught me, but there was something fresh when I saw the trailer for Prey. There was something fresh about it. And I decided to jump in, and I'm a fan of the director. So how did you hear about it, Ty?
Well, I mean, people were talking about it. They got a lot of sort of early buzz, and then I saw the trailer, and I agree. The trailer really, it kind of took the franchise back to the feel of the original, not with the 80s machismo, but it's about the monster, it's about the fight for survival. It just stripped it down to the bones of what a Predator movie should be.
And what was your initial feel? Like, in the beginning, we'll just kind of give our initial, when you saw it and the credits were rolling, what was your gut initial feeling after you first saw it? For your money, what worked and what didn't after your first gut?
I really liked it. My initial thing after the credits were rolling was I really wish I'd watched it, the Comanche version. I didn't know that there was a language version that was all the actors speaking in their actual original Comanche language. I wish I had watched that version. I plan to do that. I plan to rewatch it with that version.
Now, let me ask you a question. I'm kind of confused about that. Are they doing Comanche through the whole movie, or are they doing Comanche for certain parts?
All the native actors are speaking their native language.
Oh, interesting.
So like the French, the guys who are like the French traders and that kind of stuff, they'll speak French.
Mm-hmm.
But the native actors will be speaking their native language, which that sounds great to me.
Yeah, I mean, I really would like, because if in terms of me, what didn't work as well as it should have is because it was such a beautiful art direction, in it. I think they shot it in Canada somewhere, Calgary maybe, but it was so beautiful and sweeping, and and rough and raw and out in the elements. And, you have the Comanche culture, and you have how they live in this. And it was so genuine and authentic in movieverse, and, me seeing it, that a little bit of the language seemed a bit too contemporary. There was a little bit of some vocal fraying going on. There's just a little bit of teenage in there that was kind of taking me out of it. But overall, I really enjoyed the movie. I mean, it to me, it went back to its roots in the simplicity of it, but it went back in its roots in what the story is. And you think about the first Predator, where there is, it's the quintessential 80s cheese machismo, right? There's bulging muscles. It is the height of testosterone and the power and aggression and weapons, and that's what this whole team operates with. And they go and they eradicate this whole team of people with their aggression and power and all that, and then they confront something that's even more aggressive and powerful than them, and they realize that they are no match for this thing. And even Billy at the end, when he goes in there and cuts his chest and stands off with it, that is his ultimate, I'm going down mano a mano, I'm throwing this in there in this ring, and he knows he's going to his death. Well, the story is about there's other ways to fight. There's other ways to, and so when Arnold realizes, well, I'm not going to win this way, and then I have to use my intelligence, I got to use my resourcefulness, I got to use my mind to understand the advantages that this Predator doesn't have. And one of the advantages it doesn't have is the Predator is locked into this aggression and this power and this, and so this is why I think the protagonist in this is a perfect protagonist. But that was my initial thoughts from the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, she's never going to try to outmuscle the Predator. She's never going to try to fist fight with it. She has to use her intelligence and her cunning to beat it. She can't beat it with raw power. And
I really like this director, David Trachtenberg. Cloverfield Lane was the first time I saw him, and I didn't know. I just went and saw the movie because the trailer again felt fresh to me, and it felt like there's certain stories, even if no matter how well they're executed or not, there's certain stories that I go and support because I want more of that. When you start having original ideas in genre and trying something new, and if it feels fresh and interesting to me, I'm going to go and support it and watch it. Like Jordan Peele, I think what he's doing, I will go see those movies and support them, because even if it's, even if I don't like the movie as much as I like Get Out, I want those movies to continue and people trying those things.
Yeah.
Were you aware of this director before?
Yeah, I saw, what is it, 30 Cloverfield Lane is the name of the movie? I saw that movie. I thought it was a really interesting take on the sort of Cloverfield universe. Yeah, and it was a very claustrophobic story. It was very condensed. It was, basically one location for most, 90% of the movie. But he found interesting things to do, and he found an interesting way to make sort of a suspense thriller horror story in this really claustrophobic setting. So yeah, I mean, that's good directing.
Remind me of the story again. Is it is the Cloverfield, the monster attacks happening, and this guy has them all in his place, but it turns out he's a killer or something? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, kind of. It's we don't actually know that the Cloverfield attacks are happening. We just know that this woman was driving her car, she crashes, and when she wakes up, she's in this basement bunker.
Mm-hmm.
And the John Goodman character is telling her, "Oh, it's the apocalypse outside. If we go outside, we'll die. You have to stay in here with me." And it's the rest of the movie is her sort of unpacking, is this guy completely full of shit? Is he lying to me? Have I just been kidnapped? Am I in this weirdo sex dungeon?
Mm-hmm.
And figuring all of that out. And then a third character gets added to the story, which up the confusion and the sort of tension of it. And then it has what you might call a twist ending. But yeah, most of the story is in this underground bunker with this survivalist guy telling her that if she leaves the bunker, she'll die.
Yeah, so I'll come back. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I'd like to watch that again. So, what was really interesting about this movie is the balance of the acts. The first act is really long, but it works really well because it has such great sequences, such purpose-driven sequences within that. But when we start off, we meet the hero. And by the way, Amber Mid Thunder. What a fucking what a great name. Is it too
Yeah.
like is it too late? Can I pull off like Mid Thunder? Is it too late to have that last? Maybe if I marry her, I can have that last name.
You already have that. I mean, you're already Midnight. Like Midnight is just as cool as Mid Thunder.
Man, why you bringing up old shit, man? Naru, you meet her and you meet. So when I was growing up, I used to read a lot about the Comanches, and I think it's a really interesting tribe that they used because they were bad motherfuckers, and in a way that they kind of controlled the Great Plains and the way they revolutionized warfare on horses. It was almost like a Genghis Khan kind of situation, and they couldn't be fucked with. And so, I've always been really interested in that. So I really like the idea that these are these Comanches because they're great warriors and great hunters. And, their culture and their life and everything. And I know the budget wasn't huge and I know the settings weren't huge, but I thought they did a really good job meeting them.
Yeah, it's beautifully shot. And the location is like one of the characters. This beautiful spread of plains and mountains in the distance. The rivers and cliffs where the action is taking place. It's all really beautifully shot, and it feels unspoiled. It feels like what I assumed this country felt like before it was colonized and resettled by Europeans. Just the idea that there's this vast open space filled with all the stuff that you need, food and shelter and all that stuff comes from the land. It feels very naturalistic.
Have you ever been to Montana?
I have. Yeah.
I was just up there recently, man. There is something about that open space and mountains where you just automatically, but you just want to rip your clothes off and put a loincloth on and go hunt something. Like it just makes you primal. Now, I will say that it was in the summertime and the weather was nice. I don't know how it'd be if it was freezing. I'd be like, I don't feel so primal right now. So then, we meet Naru, who is our protagonist, and we learn early on what it is that she deeply wants. And she wants to be a warrior. She wants to be a hunter. And she's not really fitting in with the gender roles that are established within this tribe and what is happening. And she's dealing with pushback in the things that she wants to be and what she wants to do. And then when they go on their initial hunt, now, remind me. So somebody's missing. They go to find the person that's missing first, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then when they find him, they realize that he was attacked by a lion. Right? Yeah. And did you know that there were lions in North America?
Well, they're North American lions. They're mountain lions.
So
they're not like savanna lions.
So Ty and I were at Comic-Con this weekend, and our buddy Dan Nowak on the Attack, who's a big friend of the show, we were talking about prey and discussing what it was. And he was like, it was cool, but like having lions in North America, we're like, no, dude, it was mountain lions. He's like, no, it wasn't. It was lions. And I was like, he comes back with a mountain lion over his shoulder. And then you could just see like, oh. So he thought like there'd be like a revisionist, like Ghost in the Darkness, like mountains coming up there doing that thing. But so they realize this mountain lion, they got to go hunt this lion. And as she's going along with them on the hunt, she starts getting these, they're making, it's a guy's club. They're out there, they're going hunting. She's coming along. They don't like that she's coming along. So they're starting to make these comments. And what you realize is like, she's got a lot going against her in the beginning. Her mother's not really supporting this. The guys that she's going hunting with is not supporting this, but she believes this is who she is. She believes that she has this courage within her, that she has this strength within her, but it hasn't been proven yet. So there is a little bit of self-doubt, going forward in this as well. And then what did you think of the tree scene with the mountain lion and how they set it up to get to the lion and everything?
I think being trapped up in a tree with a mountain lion would be fucking terrifying.
Right.
Yeah, that would scare the crap out of me. So they set her up for this journey to discover her strength, to be the hunter she wants to be. And then they put her in a situation where literally any of us would immediately crap our pants. She's not scared because she's a girl. Like, you can't front. I don't care how badass and macho you are. That situation would suck the courage right out of you.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of like, no matter how much of an ass kicker you are, if you're in the water, and like a shark or a barracuda or something shows up, you're scared shitless because that's his domain,
Right.
right? Like doesn't matter how much of a badass you think you are, you're in his world now. When you're up in a tree like that, that's that cat's world. That's his domain, right? And you're trying to hang on. You're trying not to fall. I don't care how much of an ass kicker you think you are. You cannot fight something in its domain.
But what's great about it is she didn't lose her wits. You know, she was constantly thinking and measuring it out. But if you're writing a story or writing a character, and you have you know, if you want to hit them when they have their first failure or something, when they're trying to choose, you hit them that's specifically designed for them. So you have this person who realizes that who she is at her core is not, she doesn't want to farm, she doesn't want to cook, she doesn't want to do, she wants to be a warrior. That's what she feels in her heart. She wants to go out there and do these things. But she hasn't fully proven herself yet. She hasn't I don't remember the name for it, but she hasn't hunt the thing that can hunt you. And so this is her first real test, and she has her whole tribe. And basically, you know, in those days, your whole tribe was the whole world. I mean, that was everything. And they're, you know, this is her test. This is her thing. And she falls. She gets knocked unconscious. She wakes up having to be rescued by her brother, and her brother being victorious and bringing the mountain lion into the camp. And so it's like that was a specific design dark night of the soul, which this isn't the point of the dark, but this is like a specific moment of failure that really challenges the protagonist on everything that she wants to be, and really, you know, creating this obstacle, because not only is everybody else doubting her, she has a little bit of self-doubt within herself. But what you see is in the beginning, you know, the Predator's kind of going through this. And one of the things that I want to talk to you about, Ty, what I really like about this movie, and I think Predator works in the first thing being the only thing that's going on in the story, where you have commandos in the jungle, and then you have Predator, and Predator's going to kill them, and they need to live. They need to not die.
Yep.
And that works so well because we've never seen the Predator before, and it's so mysterious and it's interesting, and it keeps us captivated the whole time. One of these things the movie does well is it has the Predator as the main thrust for the story, but it creates a lot of these other kind of parallel things going on within the story that keep you surprised, and also it highlights the Predator more because you have these other things happening within it. But because she's resourceful, and because she's more observant than everybody, and that's kind of like her talent. She does see the Predator crash land in the thing. So you don't have to be observant to see a spaceship come out of the sky, but she's aware that something else is going on, and she feels that there's something out there and nobody believes her. So she sets out on her own to go find out what this thing is and what's going on.
I mean, you talk about the original Predator and the fact that the Predator as an antagonist with these guys. That the movie starts out by showing these guys be badasses, right? You know, they're all roided up, they're all jacked out of their minds. They're all carrying gigantic, oversized weaponry. When they attack the Colombian camp, they immediately just murder all of those guys without even really taking any injuries themselves. So that when they confront the Predator, and it is so clearly outclassing them, we have some scope for that. We have some scale for that, right? Mm-hmm. The thing with this movie is we've seen Predator. We know what the Predator is. We know what kind of weaponry and skills he brings to bear. And now we're with a bunch of people who the height of their technology is bows and arrows. Mm-hmm. I was watching this, going into it thinking, what are they going to do? They don't have bombs. They don't have missiles. You know, I mean, Schwarzenegger beats the first Predator by like taking grenades from his grenade launcher apart and making bombs out of them. These guys don't have a grenade launcher. So that the final solution he comes up with is very low tech with the log and the spikes and all that stuff. But we start out with a much more high tech solution. So these guys are already starting out in the position where he gets driven to by the end of the first movie. You know, he gets driven to the most low tech of solutions by the end of the first movie. These guys are starting out there. So it really did, I think, created a much more heightened sense of suspense for me watching it. Like, what are they going to come up with? What is the solution here?
And that, to me, that's what I think is that's the great source of the movie, and I think that's, it's really what Predator's about, because yeah, they only have bows and arrows, and Predator has superior technology, and he's a beast, but it doesn't matter. You can give them missile launchers, you can give them whatever they're going to do. It doesn't matter, because Predator's dominant, and he has dominant technology, better technology than we have. Even back then, he has his technology was a little bit more primitive. So, the thing is to me, it doesn't matter if you have bows and arrows or if you have grenade launchers. I mean, his technology was a little bit less, but it still was like way superior to what they had. What they have to do is they have to embrace. See, the thing is she knows the environment better. She knows the world better. She knows. And also, I do want to bring up the whole plant that that cools off your blood, that cools your blood. Is that a thing? Is that a real thing?
I don't know if that's a real
Clint,
thing.
do you know if that's a real thing?
It struck me as bullshit, and I guess related to that, there's a scene where he kills a snake, and I was like, how much cooler do you need to be? Snakes are the exact same temperature as the environment they're in.
Yeah.
He should have been invisible.
Holy shit.
Damn, Clint.
He killed a snake. I didn't even connect those dots. Does this ruin the movie for you, Ty?
Yeah, kind of.
Thank you, Clint. I'll never call on you again.
Before you move on, does it seem to you, because watching it, it seemed to me like, you mentioned this briefly, the Predator had different technology than the Predator in the first movie had.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have like plasma cannons. He had things that looked like they fired like arrows or spears of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, do you think that the Predators scale their technology to the time and place that they're going to be hunting? Because I don't think this is like a Predator with old technology because it was like earlier in Predator timeline. Like I think they picked their technology deliberately. Did it seem like that to you too?
Well, I think that's an interesting theory, because the reality is that we can't just assume. I mean, the odds are that their timeline is their time is similar to ours and some other planet. However they go.
But they still have spaceships.
Yeah.
Not very many cultures have spaceships and spears.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So like they still have like intergalactic spaceships. They still have invisibility cloaks.
Mm-hmm.
The spears seem like a deliberate choice.
Yeah. And I'm agreeing with your point, because the reality is like you can't look at the timeline how they do that, and yeah, because if you have a spaceship and you're flying in from space, then having some really high tech level. I mean, your level of, I mean, you understand atomic energy. You understand how to harness the power and fly. I mean, even if that's what they're using, I don't even know what they're using to fly to different space. But yeah, I mean, that would have to be the case. It would have to be the case that, there's sport. I mean, this is a sport, they're going to hunt, and they're bringing these weapons that they think are, because the thing is they don't go after somebody that's not a threat to them. So if they bring in a superior weapon that just makes everybody not a threat, then that's not interesting. But
is it sport or is it religious? It strikes me as religious. Why else would you do this?
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people who sport hunt, and it's not religious.
Yeah, my understanding was it was like it's going for a hunt. It's almost like I always, and this is me and not what I've read, but I always imagine it being like some type of rite of passage, because they are, and I didn't watch any of the other Predator movies, and I know they get into the mythology of the Predator and everything, and I don't even remember Predator 2. But what I always imagined in my head was, because they go in alone, and they're very honorable in a lot of ways of how they fight. Like particularly in this movie, like he goes in alone. They bring less primitive weapons, and we're coming up to talk about that bear fight. And to me, what I thought was interesting about this Predator, which is so different than which we didn't see evolve in the other movies, that he works his way up the food chain. He kills like a snake, he kills like a wolf, and he just slowly starts working up, and he's just trying to find the baddest motherfuckers around, the apex predator, because that's how he's gonna earn his trophy. And the bright spot in this movie for me was the whole bear showdown. And I thought it was, and that was a pissed off bear. Like when she went downwind, and I thought that was a great directional thing where you just saw the grass change and you saw the bear like, "Arr, arr, arr." And that bear was like, there was no curiosity. There was no stop and collect. That he was fucking ready to go. And he just started.
Well, yeah. I mean, invisibility doesn't help with bears.
Right.
Because bears have this as good or better sense of smell than dogs do. So that bear knew exactly where that predator was.
And it was mad as fuck.
Smell. And it was because, okay.
Well, no.
This is the thing.
Let's talk about her and the predator before we get to, or her and the bear before we get to the predator.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So the bear smelled her and he started, raising up. And I was really impressed by her because she still like was drawing the bow back to try to take the bear out. Now, one of the things that I want to remember, because the dog and the thing, when there's something about a dog, when you create a protagonist, you want it to be likable, you want to connect to it, and usually people do work in order that to happen. So then when it goes through all the trials and tribulations of their story, you're emotionally involved with it. There's something about a dog. When a dog comes on screen, you immediately care about that dog. And my fear of that dog dying was so palpable. It was almost more than a human. And you have to remember that when next time you write, like, have a dog in it. It just adds an emotional level. And when that dog like was saving her and like had the bear chased it, my heart was. I was like, don't kill the dog. Don't do it. Don't kill the dog. It's like the old man with Jeff Bridges. I'm like, just don't kill the dog.
I think everybody was having that reaction because, I mean, I don't even have dogs. And I was having that where I was like, if they kill the dog, I'm turning this off. I'm like, you know what?
Like women and children, I'm okay. But if they kill that dog.
That's fine. They kill that dog, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you saw the old man with Jeff Bridges, right?
I did.
Like those Rockwilders, the whole time I was like, if you kill that dog, I'm done with this show. I love those dogs.
Yep.
So I think that was a fantastic sequence, and it was real. And sometimes I think action movies benefit with a lower budget, and this is one. It's simple and scaled down. If this was a Marvel movie, you would be snowblind of all the effects of it running and chasing. Yeah. It would be longer than it needed to be. It needed to outdo the movie before that. This one kind of breaks it down. It's like, no, there's a bear. It's pissed off. It's chasing you, and she runs and climbs into a beaver bin, and the bear's ripping it apart. And then we get to Predator. You hear that, that noise of Predator, and you're like, oh shit. And that bear turns around, and there's that moment of like, what you said at Comic-Con, the bear's like, I'm an Apex too, motherfucker. Like, that bear has never been scared or never like backed down from anything, and it just roached into it. And I wish, because the Predator doesn't know what's on. I don't know if they do research or whatever before they come, or they just show up on a planet and just kill things. But I would like to know what was going through that Predator's head of like, like, oh, I'm just going to make quick work of this, and then, oh shit,
yeah. Well, you saw some glowing green blood splashing around, so that bear got his licks in. Yeah,
the bear bested him.
Yeah, the bear got some hits.
Yeah, the bear bested him. The bear mauled him and put him to the ground, and then the bear fucked up because he turned around to walk away, and that's when the Predator rose back up out of the thing. But I mean, I'd like to see that kind of play out. If the bear was like, hey man, you can't leave that guy. You can't turn your back on that guy. You got to keep going. But then when the bear comes and the Predator sidesteps him and then fucking cracks him in the jaw.
Well, and you're right. That bear doesn't know how to be afraid of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's never been afraid of anything in its life. It is absolutely an apex predator in that part of the world. Like wolves and mountain lions and all those things are just food for a grizzly bear.
Right.
So it's not scared.
Right.
So it runs into something that smells weird in its territory. The grizzly's not going to hold back. It's just going to charge. The only thing I've seen grizzly bears and they're massive, but the ones that really scare me, my brother-in-law was living in Alaska and we went and saw the bears up there and the Kodiak grizzlies.
Oh yeah.
I think that predator would have been fucked.
Yeah.
If you'd run into one of those things, because those things are like the size of a pickup truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. That grizzly the predator fought with was scary, but yeah, you run into one of those Kodiak grizzlies.
Yeah.
You better bring your plasma cannon for that one.
It takes my breath away when I saw him. We went to Alaska and we saw him, and I was like, geez. I mean, it looks like a Volkswagen walking down the street.
Yeah.
It's massive, full of powerful muscle and everything. And, when the predator picks that bear up too, I mean, like the power of that thing. And that was that's something unique to this movie, and a really cool shot is the predator was outlined of the blood of the bear, and it was roaring of like, yeah, motherfucker. And I see that. And what's interesting is about what makes her a threat to the predator is because the predator doesn't perceive her as a threat. And it's the same thing with the tribe. The tribe doesn't perceive her as a threat. The tribe, and when she makes it back to the crowd and she gets in that fight, they don't see her as a challenge to them. So there's a hidden strength within her that becomes her advantage because they don't perceive it or they don't see it. When the Comanches face off with the predator, one of the things that I really liked about this movie, and we talk about fight consistency all the time. The Comanches fight different than the French guys fight, than the predator fights, than the bear fights, and it's consistent, right? So when the Comanches see the predator, they square off and they work as a team. They work as these are people that they've trained together. They know how to do it. They're whistling to each other. They have signs. They're sneaking up around the predator. Now the predator's fucking them up, but they should. He's a predator. But they're still they're fighting bravely and savagely with their talent. And so their culture of violence tells you a lot about how it tells you about them as an organizational group and a tribe and how they operate and work with each other.
Well, they're pack hunters.
Right.
That's how they bring down prey, is they surround it and bring it down because, if you're hanging out in North America, all the prey animals are bigger than you. So you got to have that kind of organization. You got to have that kind of cleverness and intelligence to the way you hunt.
Which most movies these days would just have them running at the predator one after another. There's no difference in technique or difference in thought. Like, have you ever seen Last of the Mohicans?
Yes.
That's a movie that has great fight consistency and fight, and you inform us about culture and who they are through their violence. And these Comanches, they fought brave, but it's the predator. And then we get introduced. And so the great thing about this movie is it introduces, the first act's about the mountain lion and the second act. And so you got the bear fight. So you got all these other things that are going on and these sequences that are going on that's still illuminating and a part of the thrust that creates that's going to be the final arc with the predator, and it serves it. But you're throwing something different in the mix, something fresh, and introducing the French colonists there.
The trappers, yeah.
The trappers, yeah. And they are, I would say, kind of the purest of the evil, right? The predator is a sportsman. In my idea, I mean, fucking Clint thinks it's a religious thing. I don't know. It's kind of like him and Harry Potter, but there's a the predator's there for some kind of rite of passage, for some kind of, I'm going to figure out who your apex is and then show that person that I'm the fucking apex. I'm going to come and just, dominate this thing.
Rites of passage are religious. They're not for sport. Just saying.
I know. I realized that when I said it. But then you have the French, and they come and they there's no honor in the way they hunt. They set traps. They do, and you see the predator acknowledge the trap and realize this is not the way to do things, and then they're coming, and I thought it was really interesting bringing them in.
I was wondering if they were going to do that, and then I saw the trailer, and I saw that the French were in the trailer, so I was curious to see how that was going to play out. Because of course that's next level technology. You got the natives with their bows and spears and that kind of level of technology, and then you've got these French trappers. They've got the next level, which is black powder rifles,
black powder coffee,
black powder pistols, black powder coffee. They've got that level of technology, but we've seen the predator easily defeat a guy with a minigun. So I'm thinking probably a muzzle loading rifle is not going to be that big of a threat to him. But it was still interesting to see the way that played out.
Yeah.
These guys with these muzzle loaders.
You know, and we're talking about fight consistency. You see the Comanches doing battle with the Predator and how their techniques, whatever. And then you have the French that have superior technology, but they're more aggressive, and there's no rhyme or reason to their charge, and it's almost like they're in that the scene when the Predator's walking through and just slaughtering them, and it's like it's ash and the fire and the things walking. That's one of the coolest scenes in the movie. It's between that and the bear scene. But it adds a real group of people that you root against, because the Predator's fucking awesome, and you think it's awesome, and you obviously, and then you want her to succeed, and you want, you don't want the tribe to die, but these guys come and you're like, kill these motherfuckers, kill these guys.
Yeah, and they're mean to our characters that we like. So right away we're like, they were mean to our girl. So fuck them. Like, let's watch the Predator take them out.
Remind me again. I'm drawing a blank. What was the whole thing with the cage? Why'd they put her in a cage? And they wanted something from her.
I don't remember. I assumed my memory could be faulty here. I assumed they just wanted to like keep her because she was a woman and they were a bunch of men off by themselves.
See I remember thinking that, but then it went against that. And I remember thinking, Joseph, do you know?
I mean, obviously, I thought that was like it was bait, but also what Ty said, because selling her potentially, because they were traders. That was one thing I thought, and obviously her brother was expendable to them. So yeah.
Okay.
They're also hunting the Predator. They want to know what she knows, right?
Right.
Oh, are they? Oh, that's interesting. So they're aware of the Predator and they're hunting him and they want to know. Okay, that's interesting. So when her brother faces off in against the Predator, I really like that scene. I really love those scenes where it's like, I know I'm going to die. It's like Legend of the Fall at the end when Brad Pitt's like fighting that grizzly. It's like, I'm going out, or when Billy cuts his chest in the first one and everything like that. But he knows, he's there, that's his sister. He cares about his sister. And you realize like the love that they have for each other. And it's just so honorable, like that fight and that death, and the Predator respects that. And it's like this, really bloody, intense battle between the two.
I mean, I think that is what makes the Predator an interesting bad guy. Like he's a bad guy. He flies to alien worlds and murders the people who live there. That's not a thing you should aspire to. But he does seem to respect bravery. He does seem to acknowledge that bravery in the way he behaves toward the brother at the end. And that's the thing with people who were of those lower technology cultures who were living in wilderness areas like North America at the time. If you were a hunter, if you went out and were doing that kind of work, supplying the tribe with food and stuff, you had to be brave. It was that's the thing, is I don't think they were necessarily warriors, but they had to have that sort of that warrior mentality of bravery to protect the tribe, to protect the people you care about. And that was one thing I thought the movie did, is treated the native people in the movie with a lot of respect.
Yeah, they did, and they illuminated a lot, so at this point, Naru, throughout, through her experiences, through her journey, and her strengths with observing and really understanding and figuring out what she's going against, she started acquiring these tools. Like, she learned how to use a pistol. And all these things were so properly set up for this final showdown going into the third act with the showdown, because in the beginning it was about the mountain lion, and then there was the bear, and then the Comanches, and then the Frenchmen and everything. Now it's coming down to her and the Predators, the ultimate climax and showdown between her. And through this, she's been, training with the hatchet, with the rope, and kind of evolving her weapons. She knows how to use the pistol. She knows that when she eats the rose, the Predator can't see her. The quicksand was properly set up. And now she's at a place where she kind of has the courage to face it, like the belief in herself. It wasn't as much of an evolution. Like, she believed she was this person, but she just didn't know for sure. So this is kind of like the confirmation of, like, going after the Predator. at this point. Now,
So that, like, I was just talking about the mantle of the hunter is the physical protector of the tribe, and she's wanted to be a hunter, and she's like, okay, this is what I wanted. If I'm going to protect the tribe, this is what I've got to do. I mean, a lot of people want things until they realize how much those things are going to cost, and then they're scared away. This is her moment where she's like, I've wanted this all my life. Now I have it. It's going to cost me a lot. It's already cost me a lot, and it's going to cost me more. But this is what I wanted, so I have to do it.
what did you think of the final showdown between her and Predator?
I mean, I thought it was well done. At no point was I angry at the movie for giving her a free pass, which is the thing I was worried about. That in order for the movie to let her live and win, the movie would have to give her a pass. You have to give her an easy way out. And I never felt like it did that.
What did you think about the head? I love the scene when she shot the Predator in the head. And he rung the Predator's bell, and the Predator's like, what the fuck? And she got the Predator to cut his own arm off. And so there was, in some ways, I feel like she handled the Predator better than Arnold Schwarzenegger in the first one. Like, it was like she kind of collected all this information, and then she kind of unleashed on the Predator at the end.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because one of the things I was thinking as I was watching the movie is Arnold and his team in the first movie, they are trained to expect their technology to win, right? They've spent, you've been around special operations soldiers, I'm sure. They spend years training with guns, training with their weaponry, training with their explosives and their other technology, and they expect those things to bring them victory, right? That is what you are trained to do. So, we when we first see Arnold and his team fighting with the Predator, they're trying to use their technology to beat it. And it's only at the end, when piece by piece everything is taken away from him, that he kind of goes back to that sort of primal figuring it out, using the lay of the land and, with the traps that he puts up and all that kind of stuff. She doesn't have that. She doesn't expect her technology to win. So she's already mentally in the place that Arnold has to be beaten into, right? Because if Arnold ran into a bear, he would just shoot it. He wouldn't even think twice, right? She knows if she runs into a bear, she's in deep shit, and she's going to have to think her way out of it, right?
Yep. And to add to that, in the way that I imagine, and maybe I projected this onto the movie, but the men, the Comanche warriors and the hunters, she didn't get to train with them. She didn't get to, like, the way they move and operate. So all of her, what she knows about hunting, what she knows to do with her hatchet, is her on her own and trying to have to figure out on her own, and resourcefulness on her own. And so all of these things that were her weaknesses are now at the end become her advantages. And the fact that, number one, that they didn't think she was a threat. Number two, her having to be resourceful and figure it out on her own without a group or a crew around her to develop her and to make her the warrior that she is. She had to do that on her own. And that is what, her observation, her wits, her intelligence is, and her understanding of the environment is what she used against the Predator. And everything was so properly set up with the quicksand and with everything, with her using the gun and shooting him in the head. We talk about setups all the time. Like, I love a good setup. I love seeing a setup and forgetting about it, where you're not watching like that's a setup and you know exactly when it's coming. And maybe this was an obvious one. It was, but I was enjoying the movie so much. I mean, obviously the pointing the gun, him shooting himself in the head, like, that was one everybody saw. But I was enjoying the movie so much. I wasn't, I was like, the tools that she acquired through her journey, and all her weaknesses became her strengths. And then she ended up, taking out the Predator. And that closing, that image of her walking back into the camp with the fucking Predator's head, and in that camp, and everything, that was a great, it was contrast to her darkest moment when she got, knocked out and she was saved, and she saw her brother coming in with a mountain lion. She brought in the fucking Predator's head.
I'm going to go ahead and guess that nobody gave her shit about being a hunter after that.
Well, could you imagine? So, could you
I'm
imagine?
just gonna guess.
Like, could you fucking imagine? So, like, the whole, one of the in this culture, in these tribes, in those days, there wasn't a lot going on. There wasn't a lot to talk about. So all of your stories and all your things about hunting or something, whatever happened to that day, nobody's going to best her in stories from that point forward. It's like some guy at the bar that legitimately knocked out Muhammad Ali. Like when he sits at the bar, he doesn't have to fight again. He doesn't ever have to fight again, whatever. If you knocked out Muhammad Ali, you're a bad motherfucker till you die. And so at this point, she is the warrior of that tribe. Nobody, she'd be like, I killed Predator, dude. You're like, all right, you know.
Yeah. I think she probably proved her point. But the other thing is, she had another tool that nobody else in the tribe had. She had the best dog ever.
The dog. Yeah, we got to give
the best dog ever. And give the dog credit. There were plenty of places in that movie. If she didn't have that dog, she would have died.
All right. Well, that includes Prey. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I didn't see, any other Predators, but I watched this and I thought it was fantastic. I think Trachtenberg is a director to watch. I think he's going to be doing some great stuff. And he's a kind of storyteller that I want to support. He's a kind of storyteller that I want to continue doing and making in original and fresh and new.
You're going to do him?
I'm going.
You're going to continue doing him?
Did I have a Did I have a Freudian slip? Sorry, Dragonberg. It's been a long day. No.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Continue supporting him.
Consider, and I will do Jordan Peele too. Well, yeah. Thank you guys for coming out. I guess we'll go to our top 5.
Yeah, we really didn't have a top 5 for this, but I was suggesting that we could do best prequels. I did come up with a list here, as you can see.
I typically hate prequels, but let's see what you got on the list here.
Okay, Rogue One, Prey, Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, which people say it is a prequel.
Yep. It is a prequel, yeah.
X-Men First Class, Godfather Part 2, which they it always gets listed. It's kind of dances a little bit.
Well, half of the movie is the story of his father, yeah.
Good, Bad, and the Ugly is set before the 2 previous dollar movies.
Yeah.
Cruella, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, which I love that when I was growing up. The Thing, just for you guys to discuss it.
What's that a prequel of?
Which one?
The Thing.
Oh, no, he's talking about the remake. The terrible one they made.
Well, it's supposed to be what led up to the dog.
Oh, I never saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Norwegians next door.
Yeah, it's the Norwegians next door. Or the Swedes.
Except that they all have American accents.
Yeah. Monsters University. I saw a bunch of these, like they had Casino Royale, but I'm like, that's a reboot.
Casino Royale, it is, but it's also like the origin of James Bond. So I think that belongs.
And they were saying also Batman Begins as well. But I mean, those were the ones that I saw that I thought were good enough to have the discussion. And I mean, I really loved Rogue One, which kind of nowadays is ranked as one of the much better Star Wars.
I'm ready to rock.
I would immediately replace Escape from the Planet of the Apes with Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I think those movies are great.
Yeah, and those were also included. I didn't know reboot versus what is considered kind of a prequel, but Rise does happen before.
Do we consider Godfather too?
Well, half of the movie is about his father.
Yeah, but would we consider that?
I would consider it because it's one of the best movies ever made.
Because the reason I say that is because that's for sure. I don't see a better one than that movie.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
I would put that on number 1.
There is a Predator movie that takes place before the Arnold Predator movie that's not Prey, which is Alien versus Predator.
Shut your mouth.
Is that Shane Black's Predator?
No, it's not.
No,
it's terrible.
It was so bad.
All right, let's do this. I think Godfather 2 is one of the greatest movies ever made, so that's got to be the first one.
Hard to beat.
Even if you only count the half of it that is about his father establishing himself, even just that half of the movie is one of the best movies ever made.
Right.
So, yeah.
This is a rough list. There's some bad movies on it.
This is a personal choice for me, and I love this movie, and I don't care who knows it. And it's not only do I love it, it's in my top. Temple of Doom. I'm a Temple
I knew
of
you were
Doom
going to say
fan.
Temple of Doom. I I also love Temple of Doom, and I know that it is
Problematic.
it's objectively not great compared to the first movie, but I still love it. I still love it.
What, Clint? You got some smart ass shit to say about Temple of Doom?
No, I love Temple of Doom.
Oh, all right. Well,
What's there to say about it? I mean, it's the worst love interest in almost any film, but
True.
Yeah.
well, some of the movie circles I run in, they kind of badmouth it a little bit. And I'm like, I love Temple of Doom, and I went and saw that in the theater with my dad, and it was like one of the great theater experiences of my life. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
And here's the thing: is Kate Capshaw is not a bad actor.
yeah,
She's not a bad actor.
No.
That part is very poorly written.
agreed.
They give her nothing to do but scream. So I don't blame Kate.
She
for
gets
that.
an incredible introduction and then
Yeah.
squanders it from every point.
Yeah, I don't blame her for that. That's not her fault.
I would throw.
So a divisive prequel here. Alien has a prequel, Prometheus.
Ugh.
I didn't
saying.
include that on purpose, Clint. I mean,
Yeah.
go
Thank you, Joseph.
to your hole. Go to the corner of shame.
Yo, Prometheus sucks. It's so much better than X-Men First Class. Are you crazy?
But here's the thing with Prometheus is it's a part of one of the greatest horror movies ever made, one of the greatest horror sci-fi and greatest horror action. And so the hope of what it could be when you have Ridley Scott being a part of it, it hurts a lot more.
It was one of the most disappointing theater experiences I ever had.
Right. The anticipation of that, it's traumatic, Clint. It's traumatic.
Well, I think that's what hurt Temple of Doom. Temple of Doom coming on the heels of Raiders, which is a perfect movie.
Yeah.
What do you mean hurt? Temple of Doom
Doom's-
was a blockbuster. That movie made so much money.
Sure. No, I'm talking in its sort of like critical reception.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. What do they know?
Temple of Doom's great. It's half the movie Raiders is.
Yeah.
But it's awesome.
Yeah, I agree with that, but it's still, it's still in the top, 100 of great movies,
I would also I'm a big fan of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Me too.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I mean, if we're calling that a prequel, that would be on my list.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I'm a fan. I'd like to see that again. I haven't seen that in a long time. Yeah, I'm on board with that 100%. And then, you know what? I like Casino Royale. I really like.
Yeah, I do too.
Daniel Craig is, kind of coming in as Bond, and I thought I'm a huge fan of Daniel Craig as Bond, and I enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, Casino Royale was a good movie.
It also had Eva Green.
It did. It had Eva Green, which any movie with Eva Green in it gets
a
1,000
boost.
bonus points. Yeah.
So let's put Casino Royale on. So now we're looking for the fifth one.
On this list,
Yeah, I don't see any on this list.
I-
There's got to be
I
one
mean,
we're missing.
I mean, on this list, I'd put Prey up there. It's for me, Prey is better
sure.
than X-Men First Class.
Yeah.
I know that other people loved Cruella. I did not understand what the point of that movie was. Not every villain needs a fucking backstory that humanizes them. It just pisses me off that every villain now requires their own backstory movie that like humanizes them and explains why they're bad and why it's not really their fault. It's just it's like we're ruining the idea of bad guys.
So we going with Prey?
Yeah.
Unless
Sweet.
Wes has a
I know there's
another
one that we're forgetting.
I mean,
There's no prequel to Die Hard, right?
Kong Skull Island.
No, I like Prey better than that. I was not a fan. There was some cool fights in
Not
that
good.
though. My kids loved the King Kong fights and stuff. But all right, Joseph, do you want to read the winners? This goes into
The Annals.
the annals of movie history.
The
Alrighty,
annals of movie history.
Yeah. Number 1, Godfather Part 2. Number 2, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Number 3, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. Number 4, Casino Royale. And number 5, Prey. Pretty good list.
And if Prey is going in the 0 spot just because we already talked about it, then I would put the Rise of the Planet of the Apes as the other 5.
Another great movie.
Thank you guys for hanging out. This has been a good time. I would tell you to come to Dragon Con, but this is going to air after Dragon Con unless Joseph wants to cut it, put it out some way. Come to Dragon Con. Say goodbye, Ty.
Goodbye, Ty.
Oh, we were also informed to tell you, because we forget to do this, to please like and subscribe right now. Like and subscribe because it would help us out. Joseph can show you how to do that. He can show you where it is.
Joseph is going to tell you how to like and subscribe.
Yeah, we
do
should
the
do
things. Push
He's
the
an
buttons.
expert on those things.
We should do a YouTube instructional on how to like.
Oh, like Captain
YouTube
America.
is how I built my barn, by the way. Thank you guys for hanging out. Talk to you later. Say goodbye, Ty.
I already said goodbye, Ty.
Oh, sorry.
I don't do it twice.
I'm sorry. I don't do it twice. I'm a one-time goodbye, Ty guy.